Today, 19-year-old Tony Nsansa and his 21-year-old wife, Nantanda Prosi of Nsambia, meet the principal psychiatric clinical officer at Mulago Hospital, Magamba Samuel. Just weeks ago, a broke and frustrated Nsansa attempted to end his own life by poisoning himself.
Money. I had work, but I ran out of money. I was conned. I could not afford rent. I asked myself why I shouldn't drink poison. I bought Dyson and drank it.
Burdened by the inability to provide for his wife and baby that is now 1 year and a half, still, Nsansa, even after attempting to kill himself, got a last resolve to leave. Vomiting and in pain, he called out to his neighbors who rushed him to hospital. He has recovered and now has to deal with the backlash from a community that considers suicide a taboo.
My friends were very angry that I had taken poison. Some have abandoned me.
Statistics show that 15% of the population in Uganda has at one time attempted suicide, with the ratio of men to women at 4:1. Magamba says sometimes the problem is genetic, while at other times it is a result of psychosocial problems.
About 90% of people who commit suicide is usually as a result of psychiatric problem or mental health problem. And a major mental health problem which go in for this is usually depression. There are other problems like schizophrenia, like alcohol-related problems, like anxiety.
Those at risk often express an air of hopelessness, sometimes even voice out their intentions.
People having negative ideas towards their life, for example, experiencing hopelessness. People doesn't have hope in his life, many of them. You see, we can find people moving and carrying out their day-to-day work. But if you go deep and sit down and talk to them, you'll find that there is an element of hopelessness in their life. And they may not also have those ones whom you ask and they tell you that they don't have meaning to their life.
Tony yatandise okunywa omwenge, tandise okunywa enjaaye. Bandi awo omunga ngamba Tony ebintu byonna bitunze, omulimo gwagutunze, poloti agitunze.
Surviving the suicide of a loved one is one of the most difficult challenges one will ever face. The survivors, the ones whom suicides leave behind, are besieged with intense grief, embarrassment and anger. So when someone who attempts to commit suicide fails in their attempt, it is very easy to turn that anger towards them.
Abalwadde tebabayisa bubi, ate tebabanenya. Nekisooka tebaba bokka, ababagezaako okwetta tebaba bokka. Bwe mutwale nga bw'ali, oba akusabye kino oba kino muwe, tomweganya nti oba nti kisinze nakutuma okwetta.
Nsansa will continue to receive counseling and is set to join a support group at the center. He returns home to face the challenges that have dogged him, and counselors hope that he'll see them in a new light. The counselors here are on call to assist him and others who call the center's helpline.
Joining us in the studios is Jen Nampija, a Befriender crisis intervention worker from Center for Suicide Prevention. Jen, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Now, people may want to know what are the signs of someone who wants to commit suicide, and how can people cope with suicidal thoughts and behaviors?
Well, suicide is a devastating situation. No one wants to commit suicide, and it's always said that, according to research, that over 90% of people who die of suicide have a diagnosable situation that would have been treated if they wanted to seek help in time. These conditions include bipolar disorder, they include depression, and sometimes schizophrenia. It's always a challenge when someone doesn't know the warning signs of suicide on how to be able to help someone. These signs are always there, and they are, we just undermine them. They include drug abuse and alcohol. When someone is overusing these drugs and alcohol, there's feeling hopeless and helpless at all times. That's a sign that someone is thinking about suicide. Then there's talking about death, writing about death, or even the wish to die. It's a sign that someone is thinking about ending their own life. Then there are those that put things on order. They give out their possessions. They had their land or they had their houses somewhere, and they start giving out stuff. They had their expensive clothes. They begin giving all such things because they are preparing for a trip somewhere. Then there are those that are behaving in a very reckless way. It's a sign that someone is actually towards committing suicide. And then there are those that say they hear voices. It's not abnormal for someone to tell you they hear voices. These things do happen. People hear voices, and these are commanding voices that tell them suicide is the only way out, taking your poison is the only way out. And then there are those that lose interest in activities that they usually enjoyed. It's a sign that they are contemplating suicide. Why would I lose interest in anything? Why does nothing matter anymore? It means they are thinking about committing suicide. So how would you help such a person who is thinking about suicide? The starting point is to take these people very serious. We always have a myth that when someone talks about committing suicide, they're just threatening us, they will not do it. Actually, according to research, it's say that all people that commit suicide, they always show signs before they actually go into committing suicide or attempting suicide. And they say this is about 80% of this population of people that show signs before they talk about it, and no one ever seems to care. Then the other way that you can help is to listen. When someone is suicidal, they don't want to be judged. They don't want to be condemned. They want you to just listen to what they're telling you, because they have trusted you that you're the only person who cares, who is going to listen to them, who will understand what exactly they are going through. You are supposed to do just the listening. Avoid saying such things like you have a lot to live for, or you can do better than that. All your work you have to do is listen. Once you have listened, what do you do next? Because you can't do this yourself. Seek help. You can always seek help. We have psychiatrists in the country that are always ready to give us support and help. Make sure the person gets to a hospital, a psychiatric hospital. We have very many in the country that have the psychiatric departments. You can also refer them to Mulago, where we are located. We can refer them to Butabika Hospital for help. And once you have referred these people, it does not stop there. The journey is just moving on. Continue supporting these people. Go make sure they get this help. Make sure they see someone who is going to help them out. And once they have been helped out, we always say it's not a secret. It's never a secret when someone tells you about suicide. Do not take it as a secret. When someone is thinking about suicide, they have two sides in them. One side still wants to live. The other side wants to go. So the side that wants to live is the side that will tell you about the whole problem. But the side that wants to die will tell you, please don't tell anybody. But when someone tells you about suicide, do not take it as a secret. We advise our people that it's always best to lose someone's friendship, because you're breaking that confidentiality, than attending their own funeral. Why would you prefer to attend a funeral? So there's no secret in helping someone who is suicidal.
Well, Jen, you've talked about people seeking help in those centers, Befriender, Butabika Hospital, but what are some of the barriers to treatment for people with suicidal thoughts? We see many actually carrying out those attempts at the end of the day.
There are very many barriers to seeking help. First, the support system at home, where we come from, at the family level. People do not know how to recognize these signs, like we've said.
And it's not supportive enough.
It's not supportive enough. So by the time they think of helping, they are in regret. Why did I do this? Why didn't I do the other? But there is always treatment. There are counselors everywhere. There are doctors everywhere. At least go to the nearest hospital for you to be helped out.
And how can family and friends cope with the loss of a loved one through suicide? Because I believe it's more painful to lose someone through suicide than the normal way.
It is
or nature's way.
It is painful to lose someone to suicide, because of the stigma that we attach to suicide as an act. But as friends, some people, like we always say, at least 80% of people go through that have had these experiences as suicidal thoughts. They can cope on their own sometimes. But there are times when someone cannot really cope on their own. So in that situation, we advise them to join a support group. And this group, we have a support group that always sits once every month, at least the last Saturday of the month. You can come and hear people share their testimonies of what they have gone through. You know, whenever you hear about someone who is going through the same experience like you, it's already healing enough. So we encourage such people to come to us. In other incidences, we encourage them to call our helpline, that is 0800 200 450. You can always be referred to the nearest place where you can be helped.
Well, Jen, as we wind up this discussion, just for re-emphasis, where can people who have suicidal thoughts get help? We need you to give people directions to your organization so that if they need help, they know where to start from, and also be able to attend that weekly program that is it monthly that you said that the organization has?
Our survivors program meets once every month. That is the last Saturday of the month. You come to Mulago Psychiatry Department. That's opposite TASO. I think TASO is more clear to everybody. So right opposite TASO is the Psychiatry Department, right after SB Bosa, the mental health unit. Once you're there, you ask anyone about Befriender, you'll be able to meet us. Other than that, you can always call us on our helpline. Like I said, it's 0800 200 450. That's 450.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, dear viewers. Jen Nampija, the Befriender Crisis Intervention Worker. Please, if you have suicidal thoughts, you always need to seek help. There is someone out there willing to help.